You know that old saying, right? To catch a thief, you've got to think like a thief? Well, listen, if you are gearing up for the Certified Ethical Hacker version 13 exam, that is not just some catchy phrase, that is literally your fundamental operating philosophy. Welcome to this explainer on CEH V13 Module 6. Now, why are we focusing here? Because this module alone makes up roughly 15% of your entire exam blueprint. That makes it incredibly, highly weighted, and absolutely vital to master from scratch. So today, we're going to break this module down completely, and we're going to make it really simple to understand by framing it as a meticulously planned 4-part cyber heist. We'll unpack the exact methods malicious actors use so you can anticipate them and ultimately stop them dead in their tracks. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so here is our roadmap for today, mirroring the EC Council's exact chronological system hacking methodology. We're talking Phase 1, gaining access. Phase 2, escalating privileges. Phase 3, maintaining access. And Phase 4, covering tracks. And then we'll wrap the whole thing up with a masterclass on the specific exam tools you simply have to know.
All right, starting with Phase 1, gaining access. This is the initial break-in. Picture the attacker standing right at the front door of the network, figuring out how to pick the lock. One of the absolute stealthiest ways they steal credentials to get inside is through LLMNR and NBTNS poisoning. Let's make this concrete. Imagine you're in a big office building. The official directory is totally down, so you just yell down the hallway, "Hey, where's the printer?" That's exactly what these fallback broadcast protocols do. They shout out to the local network for directions. Well, attackers use a tool called Responder to just sit there and listen for those shouts. When a machine asks for directions, Responder jumps up and acts like a fake receptionist, essentially saying, "Oh, I'm the printer, just hand over your credentials to connect." Boom! The attacker captures the victim's NetNTLM authentication requests, and the user has absolutely no idea it even happened.
Now, what if the attacker can't trick a user out of their password? Well, they might just try to break the application itself. And that brings us to buffer overflow mechanics. Think of a buffer as just a temporary memory space, like a small cup. If an app isn't coded securely, an attacker can pour in way more data than that cup can hold, causing the data to literally spill over into adjacent memory spaces. But here is the absolute crucial point you need to memorize for the exam. Step 3, overriding the EIP. EIP stands for the instruction pointer, and it's the thing that tells the system what command to execute next. By overflowing the buffer and overriding that EIP with their own malicious code, the attacker completely hijacks the system's execution flow. Game over. Moving right along to Phase 2, escalating privileges. This is where we steal the master keys. So you've broken in, right? But you're just a regular user. Honestly, you can't do that much damage yet. You need to find the digital equivalent of the janitor's closet and swipe the master keys that unlock every single door in the building. Now listen up, because this is a classic CEH exam trap. You have to know the difference between horizontal and vertical escalation. Horizontal escalation is simply moving sideways. You are user A and you figure out how to hack into user B's account. You both have the same low-level permissions, you're just wearing a different disguise. Vertical escalation, though, that's moving upwards. That is taking your low-level account, exploiting a flaw, and upgrading yourself to an administrator or root account. That's the one that gives you total, undisputed system control.
So how exactly do they snag those master keys? Usually through a few really common escalation vectors. Over on Windows, they might use DLL hijacking. That's where they exploit a program that forgot to specify the exact location of a needed file, and the attacker just sneaks a malicious file into its place. Or they use named pipe impersonation. The classic example you'll see is Metasploit's getSystemCommand, which basically tricks a highly privileged process into doing the attacker's dirty work. And if we're talking Linux, it very often comes down to misconfigured SUID or SGID permissions. This is where a normal user gets temporary file owner rights to run a script, and the attacker manipulates that to pop a root shell.
That takes us to Phase 3, maintaining access, or propping the back door open.
Okay, the attacker has total control. Now, they need to ensure they can always get back in, even if the flaw gets patched or the passwords get changed. One of the most terrifying ways they maintain this persistent access is by dropping a rootkit. A rootkit is malicious software specifically built to hide other processes from normal detection. It's essentially an invisibility cloak. For the exam, you have to know that rootkits operate at different system depths, which we call rings. User mode rootkits sit at ring 3, basically replacing basic apps, but it gets so much worse at kernel ring 0. That's where attackers use direct kernel object manipulation to mess with the OS's core structures. They can even go deeper than the OS to hypervisor ring -1, intercepting hardware calls before the operating system even knows what's happening.
Now, when we talk about maintaining access in a Microsoft Active Directory environment, it is all about tickets. And there is a massive distinction here that you absolutely must burn into your brain for test day. A golden ticket attack means stealing the password hash for the domain's central KRBTGT account. If you have that hash, you can forge a ticket granting ticket, a TGT, which gives you untethered, complete administrative control over the entire domain. A silver ticket is much more limited. It involves forging a ticket granting service ticket, or TGS. This only grants access to specific targeted service accounts, not the whole kingdom. So remember, golden equals full domain, silver equals specific service.
And finally, Phase 4, covering tracks, wiping the security footage.
The data's gone, the backdoors is set up, and now the attacker has to vanish like a ghost. They've got a whole bag of anti-forensic tricks to make it look to investigators like nothing ever happened. The basic stuff involves disabling system auditing or clearing out Windows EVT logs like the SCE Event Security Log. But they get incredibly crafty with trail obfuscation. Take a tool called Timestamp, for instance. It lets an attacker completely manipulate the timestamp metadata of a file, changing the creation or modified dates to totally wreck an investigator's timeline. And then you have NTFS alternate data streams. Attackers abuse this Windows file system feature to secretly hide malicious data behind a completely legitimate file. The craziest part? Hiding that data doesn't even change the apparent file size of the legitimate file in the directory. It is practically invisible.
All right, let's wrap this up with our CHE Exam Tool Masterclass. We need to map these tools to the hacking phases.
Theory is great, but the CHV13 exam is going to push you hard on practical knowledge. You have to know which tool does what. For password cracking and extraction, Mimikatz is your undisputed go-to for pulling hashes straight out of memory, while Responder is your buddy for network poisoning. Doing an Active Directory assessment? You need Bloodhound. It uses graph theory to visually map out those crazy hidden attack paths. For straight-up exploitation, the Metasploit framework is king. And for trail obfuscation, we already mentioned Timestamp for metadata. But don't forget Cypher.exe, a built-in Windows tool attackers love to use to securely delete data so forensics teams can never recover it.
Okay, let's put you in the hot seat and simulate the actual exam for a second. Imagine you are on a pen test. You use Mimikatz, and you successfully dump the KRBTG account NTLM hash. What attack do you execute next to get persistent full domain control? Take a second. Lock in your answer based on what we literally just covered.
Did you guess the golden ticket attack? If so, you absolutely nailed it. Because you have that highly specific central KRBTGT hash, you have the magic key to forge ticket-granting tickets. You can basically waltz right through the network as a domain admin and bypass standard authentication checks entirely.
As we finish up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this core philosophy from the EC Council. If you want to stop hackers from invading your network, first you've got to invade their minds. We don't learn these aggressive, offensive techniques, the rootkits, the buffer overflows, the golden tickets to cause trouble. We learn them because mastering the offensive mindset is the single most proven way to build a fortress against it.
So, there it is. You now have the exact blueprint of a system hacking cyber heist, from picking the front lock to wiping the security footage. My challenge to you, as you prep for the CEHV13 exam, is to take this knowledge and flip it. Every single time you learn a new exploit, ask yourself, how would I design a defense-in-depth strategy to catch this at step 1? Keep that analytical, hacker-focused mindset razor sharp, and you are going to absolutely crush your certification. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy studying.